So, Caterpillar's latest earnings report just dropped, and it's not just a bunch of numbers, it's really a story in three parts. You've got a record shattering performance, a totally surprising engine behind all that growth, and a major challenge brewing on the horizon. Let's break it all down. First, let's just start with this number $67.6 billion. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. In its 100th year of business, Caterpillar didn't just have a good year, it posted the highest full-year sales and revenues in its entire history. A truly massive achievement. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The CEO, Joe Creed, called it a significant milestone. And you can see why. This wasn't just a solid quarter. It was a historic year for the company. So, the big question is, how on earth did they pull this off? To really get a sense of just how big this was, we've got to look a little deeper. Because Caterpillar didn't just hit their targets, they completely blew past what everyone was expecting. Okay, let's just look at the fourth quarter for a second. Wall Street analysts thought revenue would be around $17.8 billion. Nope, Caterpillar came in at over $19 billion. They expected earnings per share around $4.67. Cat delivered $5.16, a clear, decisive beat on both of the big metrics. Now, this is really interesting. This 71% jump is in their backlog. That's basically their book of confirmed orders for the future. It's swelled up to a record $51 billion. For any company, having a huge backlog like that is just a massive sign of strong demand and, some real security for revenue down the road. So you have to ask, where is all this demand coming from? What's the secret sauce here? Well, the answer is tied to one of the biggest technology stories happening right now, the absolute explosion in artificial intelligence. Take a look at this breakdown of their different business segments. You can see construction and resource industries, they saw some pretty healthy growth. But the power and energy division, it was the clear standout, just rocketing up 23%. This wasn't just a little bit of growth, it was a massive outperformance. So what is lighting a fire under this one particular segment? And here is your answer. It's all about the unbelievable energy needs of giant data centers. These huge facilities are the physical backbone of the entire AI revolution, and they need immense, totally uninterrupted power. We're not just talking about power from the grid, but also super reliable backup generators, which, you guessed it, is Caterpillar's specialty. This demand pushed their power generation sales right past $10 billion last year. And to put a really fine point on this, get this. Caterpillar recently landed an order for 2 gigawatts of power. That's for a single data center campus. I mean, that is an absolutely enormous amount of energy, and it's one of the biggest single orders in the company's entire history. It's really just the clearest proof you can get of how directly Caterpillar is plugged into this whole AI boom. But, okay, it's not all sunshine and record profits. The report also highlights a pretty major challenge that's looming out there, one that's hitting the bottom line and hitting it hard. This chart right here is incredibly revealing. It tells the whole story. See that big green bar on the left? That's over $1 billion in profit they added just from selling more stuff. A huge win, right? But then, look at that big red bar right next to it. Those are manufacturing costs, mostly driven by tariffs, and it completely wiped out that entire gain. It's the perfect picture of this financial tug-of-war that's happening inside the company. And this problem, it's actually getting bigger. In 2025, tariffs cost the company about $1.7 billion. For 2026, they're expecting that number to jump to $2.6 billion. That's almost $1 billion increase in just this one cost category. That's a serious headwind. So, with this booming new market on one side and this growing financial storm on the other, how is Caterpillar planning to navigate the year ahead? Let's take a look at their game plan for 2026. Well, the company is still really confident. They expect sales to keep growing strong, and they're aiming for the high end of their target range. They also plan to use some price increases, about 2%, to help fight back against those rising costs. And this is crucial. They are investing heavily, about $3.5 billion, with a huge focus on expanding their capacity for engines and turbines. Why? To keep up with that incredible demand from all those data centers. Which really leaves us with this one big central question. On one hand, Caterpillar is riding one of the most powerful technology waves of our lifetime. But on the other hand, it's facing this growing wall of tariffs and costs. Their strategy is set, but the question remains, can the unstoppable force of the AI boom overcome the immovable object of rising costs? That is the story to watch in 2026.